Hey everyone, this is JT. Welcome to another lane phase review, LPR number 2. Today I'm going to be looking at Faker versus Ucal. Ucal's LeBlanc versus Faker Sylas. And before we get into it, I just want to say I've been feeling a bit under the weather. Going to be drinking some water here and there throughout this. It probably won't be too long either. And that's mainly just because I'm going to focus in on the early game, the lane phase, of course. That's what this is all about. And discuss what happens here and try to figure out why it happened and try to draw conclusions from the gameplay that we see from two of the best mid laners in the world. And also, I've been wanting to make more videos, but like I said, I've been feeling a little bit under the weather. I've also been doing a lot of coaching. And if you're interested in getting coaching from me, you should come check out the Discord. Link will be in the description. Feel free to send me direct message. My DMs are open. And we can figure out how to get you some coaching. And yeah, especially mid mains. I love coaching mid mains. And let's take a look at the gameplay here. So starting off with the runes, Ucal playing LeBlanc has got a really standard rune page: Electrocute, Eyeball Collection, Ravenous, Mana Flow, and Transcendence. You see this like 99% of the time from Korean Challenger players. Sometimes they'll go Ghost Poro, but outside of that, it's pretty much always this page. Some people will also take attack speed, and it just depends on preference a lot of the time, I think. One thing that's interesting to note here is the skill order. He goes E level 1, which usually means that some shenanigans happen at level 1, and then he puts 3 points into Q and then maxes W after that. So one of the main reasons why you put 3 points in Q is just for early game safety when you don't feel like you're going to W into trade that much, because you can go for a QE trade. Also, if your W is less likely to hit, so on a champion like Sylas, especially against someone like Faker, it's going to be harder to land Ws in laning phase because Faker will play around the range and he'll E away. In general, I would say you in your game should max W. But it's good to know that there is an option for 3 points in Q if that's what you want to do. But in general, yeah, I'd say just maxing W is better. And let's take a look at Faker's rune page on Sylas. So this is all really standard as well, I think. And then really standard skill order, of course, W max into E max. And let's get into the game here. Alright, so loading into the game, you always want to think about, get a general idea of what you want to do in your 1v1 matchup, how it should go, as well as looking at the junglers and possibly top laners and supports for roams. Roaming champions like... I mean, these champions can both roam as well. Any champion can roam, honestly. Some champions are better at it than others. But just looking at the supports and the top laners, generally these aren't super roaming champs. Jace can roam decently, but usually he won't. Ornn at level 6 can roam pretty well. I mean, even before then he can roam well, but in general these champs aren't really roam heavy champs. Looking at the junglers though, both junglers can have strong early game ganks, especially Lee Sin. If he doesn't get a successful early game gank off, then a lot of the time he'll end up being pretty behind, so he's kind of infamous for his early game ganking. And this sort of shenanigans happens a lot in Korea where things go on level 1. Ucal face checking into a brush, ends up losing his flash for it, but he does get Lee Sin's flash in return because he waited to skill up his ability. You'll see this a lot, and this is something you should try to do as well. Wait to level your skill until you need it. Actually, it looks like he leveled it. He leveled it right as he saw. So, like, right as they were going for this invade, I think he was thinking about E flashing here, because he skilled E. And he was thinking about it there, but I guess he was thinking that people weren't quite in range, so it's not the end of the world either to skill E in a melee matchup, so it's not too big of a deal that he didn't end up going for it. It's funny because Faker walking away here ends up being like a pretty decent bait, because since he goes in this direction, Ucal's probably thinking that this brush is okay, but he doesn't know for sure, so really he should have just walked around the other way just to be completely safe. But one thing I wanted to comment on here was that he did end up chaining the Lee Sin and getting Lee Sin's flash for it. LeBlanc passive coming in clutch there with the invisibility. But it's really rough for Ucal losing both summoners here. This definitely changes up how the laning phase will play out. And he'll be a little bit late to lane, but he should be able to still get all the XP. He'll also walk in with a little bit of damage. He left a little early because he wants to make sure he gets his XP. But that shouldn't matter too much in this matchup. Generally, as LeBlanc, you'll be favored early game against Sylas. Sylas is a really strong scaling champion, and he also does well in extended trades, but his laning phase isn't that impressive. His wave clear early isn't very good. And Ucal is just going to chill here and try to get his CS. He could have walked forward and looked for an E or something there, but instead he doesn't want to risk taking an extended trade from Faker, so he just sat back. And Faker also had the push to get level 2 first, but Ucal still gets to zone him off a bit because he had his E, he was going to hit his own level 2, and like I mentioned before, Sylas not very strong early game, but the main reason why he can zone him off is because Faker just used his E. So it's on cooldown, so Ucal's looking to punish that. And that's why he had the opportunity to move forward there, create a little space. That's a fundamental thing for laning, I would say, is when your opponent uses an important cooldown, like for Sylas' E, then that's an opportunity for you to be a little more aggressive most of the time. Of course, everything can change in context, but in general, you want to pressure your opponent when they use their cooldowns. So right there, Faker uses E again, and he saves the second part for when Ucal W's in. It ends up being a pretty even trade. Ucal got his electrocute off and landed his W. And it's interesting that Ucal didn't go for the chain, but he ended up getting CC'd right when he went in, and he probably didn't want to take more autos from Faker like when his Conqueror was stacked, so I think it's still interesting how he didn't use the chain. But either way, Ucal is just going to start looking to poke with Q. And also, especially since he lost to summoners early game, even as LeBlanc, you still want to be aware of the enemy jungler. And he's not being overly aggressive. He's taking some short trades here and there, but in general, he's being really safe with how he's playing. Because the most important thing in solo queue is just to not die. If you don't die, then you can make sure you're at least on even footing with your opponent, or maybe slightly behind, or hopefully slightly ahead. But it's really important to be aware of the enemy jungler and their kill threat on you. So he does take a bit of an aggressive trade here because he's planning on recalling. This is something that you can do as a solo laner a lot of the time. Honestly, as a bot laner too, but you get a big wave built up like this and you shove it all the way in a tower. He takes a trade here because he's going to recall anyway and he doesn't care about his HP. And so he just wants to get some damage on his Sylas before he leaves, as well as get a mana flow proc. It's actually pretty impressive that Faker's ahead on CS. LeBlanc is one of the hardest champions to CS with, but it's still... In general, I'd say LeBlanc should have more CS early game. But part of this could have to do with Ucal losing his summoners early, so he couldn't be as aggressive as he would have liked to be. And another short trade there, that's pretty much the way you want to do it as LeBlanc. Just get in and get out. really standard stuff.
First blood.
And this is the interesting thing, because he does start putting more points in Q, and he's just using it off cooldown. Especially in a melee matchup, you could do that. In some range matchups, you won't even be able to get in range for your Q unless you W in. So against mages, it definitely won't be as consistent. So if you are going to try 3 points Q, then it should be in a melee matchup. Although, like I said earlier, I wouldn't recommend doing it. So Faker TPing in here because he doesn't want to miss out on this XP. The wave is in a sort of spot where it's going to end up slow pushing for Ucal. But Faker just wants to make sure that he gets all the XP that he can. And yeah, it's still an interesting TP. So there's Ucal looking for the gank setup. Let's just take a look at this again. Ucal waits until Faker goes for the CS, and then Faker goes in for a trade. Really good movement by Faker to not get hit by the chain. If he did get hit by that chain, there's no way he would live this, because even if he flashed, it would have still been in range. Although he does have Merc Treads and Tenacity Rune, so he might have been able to live, but I think it's really unlikely. So Ucal once again gets a little bit of a slow push here, gets the wave shoved in, and gets a good recall. This is something that's really important for people. I've seen this a lot in my coaching. One of the biggest issues I see is that people don't recall with good timing. Instead, people get too caught up in waiting for a certain amount of gold for a specific item, or trying to tunnel on killing their laner. But usually, as a rule of thumb, you should recall when you can get a good recall. So one of the best examples of that is when you do get a wave shoved in like that, and get it all the way shoved in a tower, and the next wave isn't quite here yet. That's one of the best times to recall. Alright, so Ucal comes back to lane here, pulls these minions over, looking for a cheeky little freeze. 3 caster creeps is enough to freeze a non-cannon wave. This won't be like a perma freeze with just these 3, but it'll be a solid freeze for at least a little while. So Faker feels pressured into staying. Faker also does have Merc Treads here, so the 1v1 isn't that terrible for him right now, even though he hasn't recalled. And he pings assistance here. He wants his jungler to come help push this out. Takes a small trade. Honestly, it's not too bad for him, because, like I mentioned, those Merc Treads help a lot with reducing that damage. He got his W off, and he used Corrupting Potion, his very last charge. And one thing that's really interesting about this is, since Ucal ended up trading, he does lose this freeze, because he killed a lot of the minions here. So that's really interesting. Ucal probably would have lost the freeze on this wave because this cannon would have came in to reinforce. So I guess he just ends up taking a bigger trade to put more pressure on Faker. Faker's going to be out of pots. But it'll be pretty difficult to kill Faker, especially through the LeBlanc ult. So Faker kind of walking into river, acting like he's going to go for a roam, and then maybe Ucal would push the wave out. I think he also placed this ward. No, he didn't place the ward, but... Oh yeah, this is a blue ward anyways. So Faker's jungler does end up coming, and Ucal wisely dodges away from the chain there, the Sylas chains. Let's take a look at this again. So this is one thing for sure with LeBlancs that I see and LeBlancs that I coach, is they're always really scared to use their W defensively, when in reality, using W defensively a lot of the time is a really good use for it, because LeBlanc is a really squishy champion, you don't want to take all that damage, and you can bait people into stuff and end up getting better trades. So Faker's jungler does show up there, they end up getting Ucal's flash again. But this is the thing with Trundle, he's really good at counter ganking. And yeah, Ucal's ult comes back up, so really solid stuff there. Lee Sin having a rough game so far. Maybe if this Lee Sin wasn't so behind, then this damage would have been enough. But the important thing here is that Ucal didn't die. That's the main thing he was going for. Phase Rush Trundle as well as Nimbus Cloak. He is just so fast. But now that they get that kill, they're going to shove this wave in. This game is pretty much a hard stomp as well. So I wasn't really sure what this game looked like before looking into it. I just wanted to focus on the lane phase itself, because in laning phase, you know, one thing you're guaranteed to have every game is a laning phase. You don't know if you'll have a mid game or a late game because the game might be over, but you'll always have a laning phase, even if you do end up losing your summoners early from some weird situation like Ucal did this game where he face checked this brush. So he did start this game a little bit behind because Sylas had both summoners and he didn't have summoners, but he's just been playing it safe. He hasn't died, and he set up that gank decently well for Trundle, mainly just because he survived and the enemy team forced really hard onto him. That's one of the best things about playing LeBlanc, is you can be really safe in lane if you want to be. But you also do want to try being somewhat aggressive when you get the opportunity to. I am a believer in that there isn't really such thing as aggression or defensive play, like there's only correct play, as Dopa has said. But I can get more into that overarching idea in another video. So at this point, Faker's having a rough time. He's kind of lost lane. And a lot of the time when you lose lane, you just want to try to get out of lane. But unfortunately for him, his bot lane's losing the 2v2 as well. And he decides just not even to go for that. He knows that he's not strong enough to clean this up, so really wise choice from Faker there not to go in. As I say that, you know, it's like 11-0, it's going to be really hard to win. Maybe he should have tried to do something to get lucky there, but no, I mean, in reality it's better to just be more consistent, to not die again, and to see what happens. Yeah, Phase Rush Trundle coming in again for this gank. I guess Faker figured it might be a safe time for a trade right as the dragon was taken, but Trundle just ran straight mid. And that's pretty much that. So not a whole lot to say about this lane phase review. Just Ucal executing textbook LeBlanc gameplay, and Faker's team struggling to stay in it. Really good recall timings. That's the main takeaway here, I'd say, with this lane phase review. Ucal's recalls this game have been stellar. Just getting the wave in and then going back. It seems like pretty simple. Like, it seems like that isn't really the highlight of this game, but a lot of time recalls do win games. They win laning phases for you as long as you get them down properly. That's a lot of the reason why people like LS are such a big fan of the cheater recall. Lots of pro players doing that, and it's just because you want to get a good time to buy your items, you want to come back to lane stronger than your opponent, and you don't want to miss much. So it'd still be pretty hard for Ucal to win this 1v1, like to kill Faker. But a lot of the time as LeBlanc, you can still get priority, you can still get pressure, even if you can't kill your opponent. Ucal goes for an interesting setup here. He holds his ult, so it's still on distortion form. And then he clears the minions with it to go for the chain. That's a nice LeBlanc trick you can do. If you W then R to clear minions, then you can set up a chain a lot easier. I'm kind of surprised he didn't just go for chain in the first place, like when he first W'd in. This is a really similar situation to earlier where he's point blank, so I thought he would just chain him, like right after the Sylas chain lands. Because then he could have gone for double chain, but we'll keep watching for a little bit here, see what happens. Laning phase pretty much over at this point. This game is a big stomp. So blue team here just looking to push their advantage by walking in the enemy jungle, and yeah. Oh. Rare mistake. You do see this from pro players though, you know, so if you see teammates make mistakes, just keep in mind, we're all human. You don't need to call people out or spam ping people for stuff like this. But that's just another thing, is like, make sure to take your time and go to the proper positioning before trying to dash over walls or flash over walls. Yeah, Ucal just looking to trap Yuumi in. They don't want to go too hard there. Don't want to go too deep to try to kill Sylas, because this is where games get thrown. Ucal just looking to follow up on his Trundle. Because here's the thing, if you're in a situation like this, Varus is already 1 HP and Sylas is running him down. You could try to save Varus, but it's so unlikely that you can save him. So Ucal just goes for the kill on a Jace with Trundle. It's going to be a lot more consistent. Just a good decision there. Yep, and Ucal taking a small trade, although Yuumi will pretty much heal that back up. Wants to shove this wave in and recall, I think. If he W's in though, it's a little bit sketchy. Because Sylas could look to run him down. He has a decent chunk of gold, but Aphelios is alone down in the bot lane, so he's looking for a quick roam. This is one of those situations where he could get a decent recall, but he wouldn't be able to buy anything. Like, his inventory is literally full, and he's only 50 gold away from Ludens. So this is one of those situations where you could take that good recall timing, but it makes a lot of sense that he didn't, because like I said, his inventory is literally full, and he's about to be able to buy Ludens anyway. And there isn't any objective on the map or anything like that. That's another good thing, to time your recalls around when objectives are coming up. So Dragon's coming up soon. He's going to be ready for that by recalling here. And yeah, I think that's pretty much going to be it for this. see if anything happens here. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Feel free to leave any feedback on this sort of format for a video. Ucal looking at, yeah, W over. And yeah, this game is just so brutal for Faker's team. That's another thing right here. This wall, if you go to the thin part of it here, you can W over. You can flash over as well to follow up on the team. But feel free to let me know if you want to see a specific player or a specific champion get reviewed, get talked about in this lane phase review. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.